Hello and welcome everybody to the house. So we really appreciate everybody coming out here before our lovely Minnesota weather hits. For those of you that maybe weren't aware, as you can see on the screens in the vaulted area, that this is the State of the City address with our mayor, Adam Stepaniak. So we just wanted to welcome the house and all of you here. If you're returning customers or if this is your first time, we're really hope you enjoy the space. And I'll turn it over to Adam, so thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for coming tonight. This is my first time ever giving a State of the City address, and I don't recall seeing the previous mayor's State of the City addresses, so I'm going to do this my way. I don't know if it's the correct way, but we're going to have fun tonight. What I want to do, I'm going to lay out my speech before I do it. Most people understand on an intuitive level what your state or federal government, the structure and how it looks, but I don't believe everybody understands what your city government looks like. Whether it's the literal structure of the government or the different services and amenities that are available to you. So I'm going to spend the first part of this just laying that all out for you, the different departments, department heads, people that you can reach out to, including myself and counselors. And then the latter half, we're going to look at some of our successes and failures from last year. And at the very end, it's just a Q&A where you can ask me anything that you'd like, whether it was in the PowerPoint in my speech or not. So to start, I just want to describe what our city government is. And we have something that's called a weak mayor government system. And I'll show the converse to this after I'm done describing this. So what a weak mayor government system is your councilors and mayors have the exact same voting power. So I actually prefer this type of government system for a small town because if I was a nefarious guy, I can't veto our city council or I can't go left if they want to go right. So my power when it comes to voting on topics and discussion is equivalent to a city councilor's vote. So with that being said, we have one mayor, myself, and then 4 councilors. So a total of 5 people that are voting on topics and discussions, so there can never be a tie if we're all present. So to run through the list, there's myself, this is my first term, it's a 2-year term. With our councilors and councilwomen, we have Kelly Bieniek first. She is our acting mayor, and that's a term not a lot of people hear. Your acting mayor is a pseudo vice president of the city. So if I'm ever unavailable to fulfill my duties as the mayor, or I'm out of town or ill, Kelly Bieniek I chose to fill in for me. So she's one of our councilwomen, and she's also an acting mayor. And that's a 1-year term as chosen by the mayor. Kelly has been our acting mayor for all 2 years that I've been mayor. I chose her 2 years in a row. We also have Kevin Klusner, who is on a second 4-year term. Kelly Bieniek is on her second 4-year term as well. We have Adam Schnettler, a new city councilor. He is on a first-year term, so he's 1.5, 2 years into a 4-year term. And Andrew Mooney is another one of our councilors, and he is filling a vacancy. I previously to being the mayor was on the city council, and I was in the middle of a 2-year term, and then I became the mayor. And at that time, we had to fill that vacancy, and we went through an interview process, and we appointed Andrew Mooney. So that kind of describes how he came into the council and gained his position. Then looking at our city administration, we have our city administrator, David Murphy, who's actually in attendance. We also have a city clerk, David Klein. We have an administrative assistant, who you may see at our front window at City Hall, Brooke. And beneath all the departments that we're going to cover, I just have their mission statement. And I'm not going to go through and read those all to you. It's a lot of buzzwords and nice things, but the meaning and the message behind all the mission statements, they still ring true. Looking at our finance department, we have our director, Lori Bartlett. We also have Vicki Granite, who's our account technician, and we also have Debbie Kulzer. So our finance department is a small, strong crew, of 3 people. With our PD, this has grown a lot over the last 10, 20 years as the population of St. Joseph has grown. And currently we have a police chief, that's Dwight Conenstein, and below him would be a deputy chief, Matt Johnson. And then we also have a lead records technician, Mary Beth Mundy, and she sadly resigned, so we're looking to fill that position. We also have a police clerk, that's Candy. Then we have 2 sergeants, AJ Milliston and Jason. and then we have 9 patrol officers. So that is everybody that's part of our PD. Next, we have our fire department. Within that, we have different ranks and capacities. We have our fire chief, Jeff Taufin. We have our assistant chief, Dave Selzer. We also have 5 different captains beneath them. And we have a few new ones, and we have some that have been captains for quite a while. Our longest tenured captains that we currently still have would be Andrew Kramer, Keith Luagi, and Mike Polkerts. Some newer, younger captains, which is nice to see them coming up through the ranks, is Jack Taufin and Jake Richter. Next, we have our Public Works Department. We have our director, Ryan Winston, and beneath him, he has a lot of workers. They're constantly doing things. They're probably trying to clean and prep the roads for the snow we're receiving right now. He has 4 maintenance workers, a maintenance lead. He has 2 utility operators, a utility lead, and 1 head mechanic. Also, we have a community development department. And I said I wasn't going to read mission statements, but I will for Nate's because I always view him as a jack of all trades. And he just has 1 building official in a formal capacity beneath him, but he does a lot of things. He works on planning, whether it's short or long range planning, comprehensive planning, land use applications, zoning, economic development, building, rental permits, inspections. So the community development department of St. Joseph City, it handles and does a lot. Next we have Parks and Rec, and that would be Rhonda Jewell, who is our director. She's another individual who sadly is retiring, and we're looking to fill that position. And then we're also looking to create a new formal position of a coordinator. So when we fill the position of director for Parks and Rec, and then we're also going to look for an assistant or an aide to that individual and a coordinator. So that is all the departments that we have at the city. Now I'm going to roll into some of the pros and cons, the positive and negatives that we've had from last year in 2025. Looking at Parks and Rec, a few of their biggest accomplishments would be the pickleball courts at Mill Street Park. That's a wonderful amenity, that's a growing sport, it's a growing activity that many people love, and that's a large draw to the city of St. Joseph that we now have brand new, fresh pickleball courts at Mill Street Park. Also at Kleinfelter Park this year, we're getting new equipment. This is my mini-me, this is my son. And we're getting new equipment for Kleinfelter Park that's going to be handicap accessible, ADA compliant. So that'll be a really nice gift to have for the community, that people who might be handicapped and don't have the same amenities or needs as far as playground equipment, they're going to have that access available to them. Something that's going to be, I guess, a shortfall or a difficulty that we're working through this year is filling Rhonda Jewell's shoes, our former director. She had worked with the city for 5 years, and she had taken the Parks and Rec department and kind of grew it from the ground up. And the many different activities she does, like taking people to Twins games, puzzle nights, bingo, painting rocks, the adult Easter egg hunt, there's so many fun things that she does for the city to make our city fun. Those are big shoes to fill, and we hope that whoever we select doesn't simply fill those shoes, but can hopefully take what she's started and grown and run with it. Next, looking at our community development department, we're going to highlight the House Food and Tap, who we're sitting in right now. You guys are all here, you've probably seen the food, the drinks, just everything. This is a marvelous business. There's so many cities around central Minnesota with dining and restaurants. I put St. Joseph on par or higher with anyone. Craig and Brian Hearn have done a wonderful job of building this space. And beyond that, they won an award, a state award, because of what they built here. So the Economic Development Association of Minnesota, the EDAM, named them the Project of the Year last year in 2025. So that is a huge feather in their cap. Please give them a round of applause. I don't know where Craig and Brian are. I think they have their reward right there. So that's a wonderful achievement, not just by them, but like being able to have Nate Keller and our community development department work with them. They'll surely tell you if you ever ask them, they face a lot of adversity, and this was a labor of love. They did a wonderful job bringing this place to fruition. Another accomplishment for the Community Development Department is a conference that we're going to be holding this year. So maybe not 2025 accomplishment, but it's still really neat that we secured this. We have the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference. It's a mouthful, but that's going to be held here in St. Joseph September 17th and 18th. And there's going to be a collaboration between the U of M, a bunch of other foundations. It's going to be a great event to just draw entrepreneurs to the city of St. Joseph and just highlight what we have, but it's also going to be a conference where we can meet, mingle, and network with a whole bunch of other people. Some things that we're looking to work on within the community development wheelhouse is housing. That seems to be something that comes up every single year. And last year we actually did a very good job of improving on housing. We built 18 single-family homes or lots, which is the most that we did in St. Joe in a single year in over a decade. We also added 69 apartment units between two different apartments, 42 in one, 27 in another. So these are good things because we have a lot of people requesting to come live in St. Joseph. If you already live here and that's why you're at the house and listening to the speech, you already know how we love this city so much. And there's so many other people that want to come join us as well. So it's a top priority for us to help improve housing, make housing available. Another thing that we're working on is trying to expand our industrial park. We have the wonderful problem that our industrial park is full. There's many other cities that have industrial parks that have a lot of lots or area open, and they have difficulty filling it. That is not the case in St. Joe. We have our industrial park full, and we're looking to expand it to the north. And myself, the city administrator, other councilors, we have gone to the Minnesota legislature to look for assistance. We made a $2.25 million bonding request at the legislature that we would match. So that'd be a total of $4.5 million to create a lift station, a water tower out towards the industrial park. And that'd help open that region, tap into about 80 plus acres of land that can be serviced by that, so then we can draw more businesses. And I love having businesses like the house or the industrial park, just any businesses in town, because it's a backdoor way that us as citizens don't have to pay as much taxes when our businesses are carrying that financial burden plainly. So we're looking to really expand our industrial park, and that's just something we're going to have to work on this year and the years to come. In regards to public works, they kind of overlap with Parks and Rec and also community development as far as their accomplishments. But we have the Rivers Bend Park, which is over by the Sauk River, that's south of town. That's a new parcel to us, and we recently put in an ADA handicap accessible dock, where if you're in a kayak or a canoe or some small craft like that in the water and you're handicapped, we have a dock that supports you getting in and out of those types of vessels. We also have a parking lot, we have trails. That's a wonderful park. And side tangent, we're trying to get sidewalks connected all the way down to Rivers Bend Park, so that's just more accessible to people if you're not driving there. Another accomplishment for Public Works is we switched to cellular water meters. That makes your water bill more accurate. You don't have to have a physical person go out and check and repair meters. So then if a water meter were to break, you're not being overbilled unnecessarily. So that was a 5-year project that's finally going to be coming to an end this year. So it's just less man hours, less payroll hours, and it makes for more efficient reporting of your water bill. Some areas that are going to be of concern for Public Works is going to be our equipment costs. And it's not that we're looking for unreasonable items that the Public Works wants in tow trucks or plow trucks or anything like that. But if we try to budget for a new snow truck, it's snowing right now, it's really hard to budget for a $200,000 plow truck and knowing that you're going to buy it in 3 years. And then with inflation and a changing world and economy, the price of that truck is doubled. But you only budgeted for $200,000. So it's just difficult to really budget for these costs of equipment and things that we're looking to acquire for the city to keep providing amenities and services. And it's something that we deal with all the time, that we just have a very difficult time trying to make sure we have enough money and things available for when we're trying to buy items like this. Another area of concern that the Public Works is working on is emerald ash borer and other invasive bugs that can be damaging to farming and killing our trees, maybe, whether that's in your yards, your properties, or public parks. It's something that's sprung forth in this past year that's kind of exciting and a little funny with the acronym, but we have an ATF division in St. Joseph, and that's the Arbor Task Force. That's something that came about due to a native grass work session last year. And now we have people, a collective, working with Public Works to figure out ways that we can treat trees as a preventative emerald ash borer. And also, if a tree gets invaded or damaged and killed by emerald ash borer, what we can do to process that tree, get it off the property, get it off of the park, so it's not a windfall damage possibility that lands in somebody's house, that lands on equipment the city owns, things like that. Looking at our fire department, one of our accomplishments that I'm very proud of is that we have a very high participation rate. And that might be an odd thing to say, but many fire departments in the area are volunteer, so they aren't full-time employees, they don't stay at the firehouse, they don't live there, they're just people that have day jobs. And when the pager goes off or a call comes through, they respond to it, and that can be leaving their family, leaving a meal, leaving their day job. And we at St. Joseph have done a great job of retaining our firefighters and staying at or near capacity for many years, many decades. Many other cities struggle with that. For a normal volunteer fire department, you should have about 30 volunteer firefighters. We're currently at 26. And that's the lowest we've been at 26 of 30 in many years. We're typically right on the button to 30, if not 29 or 28. Another wonderful accomplishment that we've had as a fire department is we received multiple life-saving awards this past year. If there's people that have a stroke or a heart attack or just different emergencies, we respond to those, and we've had a couple incidents last year where we saved somebody's life. Somebody had a heart attack, we had to resuscitate them, and we brought them back. And that's an amazing thing because somebody gets a new lease on life, and we're able to help participate in that. So last year, I believe there were 2 life-saving award incidents, and there's probably 20 awards given out because we have the response of our PD that will go to your call. We have our fire department that goes to the call. There's the Mayo Ambulance EMS service. And there's also citizens that just jump in. There's an incident that occurred at Quick Trip last year, and just people that were getting their morning coffee, pumping gas, they jumped in and helped. That's an amazing thing that people just drop what they're doing and they help. Something that's going to be a concern for us in the coming year with the fire departments is going to be our call volume. Normal fire departments, well, this is hard to gauge, but most volunteer fire departments get about 200 to maybe 100 calls a year. St. Joe gets over 600, so it's a large call volume, and I would be disingenuous if I didn't say there isn't. There is. Like, a lot of these people will volunteer, you leave your day job, you leave your family. To go to that many calls as a volunteer department, not a full-time one, it's a lot. And we don't have a remedy, a solution. That's something we're navigating, whether we need to have full-time employees, if we need to have full-time firefighters. But it's something we're watching, we're monitoring. We know it's an issue, and they're not going to stop responding to the call. But it's just a concern that our city is growing and it's wonderful, but we do have a very high call volume when it comes to medical, EMS, and fire services. As far as our police department, this is kind of what I was really proud of what the fire department is we're at or near capacity for our PD. Last year specifically, we had people out with injuries, line of work injuries, other injuries and ailments that occurred in their personal life, and then people that were out on medical leave, just a lot of peculiar incidents, and just seemed like the perfect storm where we had a lot of people off of work. And that's nothing that you can really predict or prevent, it just happens. And as we stand today, we're nearly at capacity. We are still down a couple people, but it's good to see that our PD is close to capacity, is close to as many people as we should have, punching in, working hard for our city, because that just ensures that we have a safe city. Another thing that our police chief will state as a good accomplishment for us is simply technology. whenever there's an incident, whether it's minor consumption, speeding, or whatever it might be, the amount of technology that's out in the public, whether it's Ring doorbell cameras, the Axon cameras on their chest, the tasers, or just a multitude of other things. When you have this much technology, video capture available, it makes for clear outcomes and appropriate outcomes if people were to run into law enforcement or be arrested, just to have that available. And it makes for a lot easier paper filing as well. Well, digital paper filing, because we don't have to do so much physical paper filing anymore. A couple areas that we're looking to watch and improve on in the coming year is our lead records technician I previously mentioned, Mary Beth Mundine. She is resigning, and she had been with us for close to 20 years. She's a wonderful woman. She outgrew her position. She did a lot for the PD, and it's unfortunate she's leaving us, and that'll be another set of big shoes to fill. And we're hoping that we can find another wonderful candidate, another person to step up to that position and help our PD keep moving along. Another area that we're actively working on is we want to build a new police department. Our city hall as it stands was built in 2017. And when that building was constructed, it was meant to be a 20-year building where our city staff can be, the police department can be, and it would allow for natural growth in the city. And over time, it would have to be replaced eventually, but 20 years down the line. Within about 4 years, the city hall reached capacity. So we did not build an appropriate city hall for the growth that we're seeing in St. Joseph. So something that we're working on is getting a new police department building. And the path that we're navigating is we did purchase the old Casey's gas station. About 20 years ago, the city of St. Joseph previously owned that parcel, and they had sold it to Century Bank. Century Bank sold a piece to Casey's. Now it's back in our hands, and we're looking to build a PD there and connect it to the fire hall we currently have. So it's kind of a life safety station, similar to what Sartell is. The police and fire department are connected as one. And what that would do is create a domino effect for the city where we can remove the PD from City Hall, then open up 50% of the buildings so that City Hall is still serviceable and meaningful for coming years. We wouldn't have to go build a PD somewhere outside of town. It's going to be still in the heart or center of town where it'll be useful, easy access at 175. And we're going to spend less money since we're going to be building a smaller building, connecting it. And we did get the Casey's property at a very good value. That was initially listed for $1.9 million, which I thought was just a figure detached from reality. That's not a $1.9 million property. And after working with the property owners and discussing what it should actually be worth itself for, we purchased it for $500,000. So I still think like pre-COVID, that's a really high number, but that's significantly more reasonable than 1.9 million. So that's the first step to getting a new PD for us sometime in the future. 5-10 years down the road, hopefully. Within our finance department, feather in our cap is we got a clean audit. We pretty much do every single year, but we don't want to rest on our laurels or let corruption in any way seep in. And once again, when we got audited by the state, we had a clean audit. And what that does for us as a city and for you as residents is it puts us in good standing if we ever need to take out loans. It makes us more acceptable to receiving grants so we can do different services and amenities and be able to pay and fund that with a grant. So just a clean audit kind of speaks for itself. It's good that we continually have those, and last year we had one. Then looking at this year's budget, which we had to accomplish last year, we had a flat tax rate change. So in previous years, we typically have a tax increase, sadly. Last year, we maintained and actually lowered it just a small amount. It's really difficult to lower your budget when costs increase every year. And we did do that. I hope we can do it again in the following year but that's a difficult task, and we were able to actually do that last year. Another small thing, which I'm not nerdy enough to regale you all on, is we have more cybersecurity at the city, and that's something that our finance department is working on in conjunction with contractors and public works. And that's just ensuring, honestly, that people aren't hacking our emails or doing anything nefarious or malicious towards our city governments that can damage and hurt all of us. Something that the finance department has to combat or fight against on a yearly basis is evolving laws. Every year, a state legislature gets together from roughly February through May. They have a special session that might lead into June, and they're changing laws constantly. And that makes for a headache for the finance department because they change billables every year. They change their tax rates. They change payments, and the fact that they can move with the punches and like work with that moving goalpost, it's impressive and it's wonderful and difficult. So that's something that they have to work against every year. Something else that's been kind of a pain, but we're getting through it, is we're switching our payment systems. So like your water bill, refuse, and different things that you might need to pay through the city, if you do that online or in person, we're switching to a different payment system that's supposed to be more credible, more efficient, just all aspects better. And that should be coming to a close this June, I believe, summer of 2026. So it should hopefully be early this summer that we get to a new payment system, but that's just better for everyone involved. Looking at our city administration, one of the things that they thought was a great accomplishment for them was the Elm Street connection. If you can think of where the Dollar General is, Interstate Bearing, Snap Fitness, there's Elm Street that can connect the Northland neighborhood and those apartments now to the Cashwise area, Coburn's. And that's nice because it alleviates traffic on County Road 75, makes for easier access for families in the Northland neighborhood. And it was just something that was kind of sorely needed. A lot of people have asked for that. It just really makes things, the traffic and everything flow much better in that area. Looking at challenges for city administration, and this is kind of a challenge for nearly all the departments, is housing. They're looking at trying to get creative in how we can rework the description and nomenclature of zones and how we can make it more desirable to builders and developers to build single-family homes. Because no matter how much housing we can accomplish every year, people want to be in St. Joe. Like, I'm a person with a young family, and when I want to come to St. Joe, I research very thoroughly. Do I want to be in St. Cloud, Sauk Rapids, St. Augustus, Sartell, Way Park? And I chose here, as you all have as well. Like, this is a wonderful place to live. Another challenge for our city administration, which I plugged this in, our city administrator didn't know this, I would say is me, I'm a pain in their butt, and so are the councilors. And the reason being is that our city administration is fixtures in our community. Like, this is their full-time job. They're employed by the city, they interviewed, they work here, and they can stay here for long stints of time. Like, this is their whole life, they're invested in it. Myself, being the mayor, our city councilors, we're elected and we come and go. And a lot of us are characters and odd and it might be difficult to work with. So if every 2 years there's an election for some councilor or some mayor, they have just changing roles and changing people that they have to work with. So it's flatly a difficulty of theirs. They didn't want to put that in there. Looking at our city council, I want to applaud them for a lot of things that they're accomplished last year. I know it was a tremendous pain in the butt, but the two roundabouts that we have now over by County Road 2 and over by Coburn's, it stunk when they were building them. It makes the flow of traffic within our city a lot better and a lot safer now that they're present. Also, the levy increase, or the taxes we discussed, is the lowest in a decade or more. And also, the only raise in any taxes you should have seen should have come from the county and not the city. So that's a positive. We understand that Rod's been in the news abundantly lately, and we don't want the city of St. Joseph to be a part of that. We don't want to raise your taxes whatsoever if it's not 120% mandatory and necessary. Another accomplishment is the Rivers Bend Park amenities we talked about near Sauk River. The pickleball courts also, which we talked about near Millstream. And the reason why I bring these up at the city council is because they do a lot of work in between the lines of cashing out just paperwork and working with the city administration and different things. So even though that might be something under Parks and Rec in different areas, the councilors have a lot of hand and influence in what does get approved, what does not get approved, how it actually gets played out in real life. So that's a great thing that they're able to accomplish those things. We also saw a lot of new businesses come to town. And I do want to run through these lists. We have House Food and Tap. We also have businesses like Well & Company, Blush Salon, Pierce Insurance, Crafted Skin Clinic, and quite a few more just in the downtown area. Looking at our industrial park, we also have Florida Ceiling, Premier Stone Design, AVX Audio and Video, Hanson & Company Woodworks, Interstate Bearing, and quite a few more. And if we can grow our industrial park like we hope and intend to, we're just going to add to that list. And a final recurring challenge for the city council is housing again. That's our number one or number two priority most years recently is what can we do to improve our stock of housing that we currently have, and what can we do to produce more housing. Looking at myself, I try to keep my accomplishment list short because I'm extremely biased and people might tell me otherwise. And I would rather wear in the chin any failings that the city may have. The one thing that I'm very proud of is our ATF, the Arbor Task Force, because that came about in an extremely organic and wonderful way where we had a very robust work session talking about native grasses and native prairie grass. And after an hour plus discussion, people were so riled up for good and bad. The Arbor Task Force sprung forth where people are really invested and excited in trying to preserve the trees that we have, because the cost to take down a dead tree or damaged tree by an old ash borer or other bugs, it's a lot. It can be upwards of $5,000–6,000 to take a tree down if it's in an area that could fall in a structure or a house. You need to pay somebody to come in, chainsaw that, clean it up, haul it away. So it's much cheaper to work on protecting against these things than it is to clean up after the fact. Another thing that you can't entirely put a thumb on is just the vibe in St. Joe, like the energy, the momentum that we have. I believe we have a very cohesive city council, and if you walk around town in the summer, people are out and about. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing to see. With our walking downtown area, how friendly people are. I believe the energy that we have in this town is a great thing and it's worth bragging about. Now for some failures. And if this puts a bad taste in your mouth, just wait some of the wonderful food you make. Our community center is a huge point of contention and topic within the last 20–30 years. And that's something that we officially put to a close last year and decided to not move forward with. And the reason being is we're off by over $3.5 million in our fundraising after 3–4 years, and we need to just stop the project. We're in a difficult economic time right now. There's a lot of people of wealth and generosity in this community in the greater Minnesota area, and it's completely their prerogative. It's what they've worked for and what they own and possess, but we didn't get the giving from those types of individuals that we thought we would. And myself and our city council were not willing to do a sales tax against you, the residents, to come up with $3.5 million. If we couldn't organically fundraise for this, we weren't going to force it on you. So some people state that in the future it could be possible. At this very moment, we have canceled the project, and it's not something we're actively working towards at all. Another thing that's been contentious is our municipal dispensary. Cannabis is legal in Minnesota. There's a lot of people that use it medicinally. There's people that use it recreationally. There's other people that use it for other ailments, reasons as well. And we as a city have been pursuing a muni dispensary, just like a muni liquor store, so that way we could capture some profit and revenue, again, without having to tax you. And the governing body of any dispensary or cannabis-related store or venture is the OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management. And they have been very difficult to work with because it's all new to them. It's a new governing body. It's a new program for all of us. There's other states that have cannabis legal, obviously, but we're the first to allow for municipal stores. And you shouldn't need to reinvent the wheel because there's municipal liquor stores everywhere in nearly all states. But the approach that the OCM is taking to licensing, the paperwork we need to fill out, it's difficult. It's very difficult. And right now what we're looking to do is identify an operating group. because we, as the city of St. Joseph, want no business in running the physical business. We just want to have the business and be able to collect the profits. We don't have to tax people. So we're looking to have an operating group run the day-to-day, have their payroll, have their own employees, and then we own the business. So one of the last legs in our journey is we're trying to identify an operating group, and then also an area in St. Joseph to have it. And we have a wonderful problem where we don't have very many open suites or buildings in St. Joseph. So we need to find somewhere to place this that's appropriate. We don't want to place it by the church, the school, or anything like that. We want it to be on a highway district that's sort of away from housing. And we're having a difficult time with those couple of things. Both the operating group, somebody we can trust to run the thing, and also just finding a place to put it. And finally, this is kind of an accumulation of a lot of things, but in the last year, and I wouldn't say this is St. Joseph specifically, there's been a lot of statewide fraud in the state. There's been the presence of ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, that has put people on edge. And there's community safety concerns. And it's just been a tumultuous few months. I've had to put out a lot of public statements. I've been meeting with residents and discussing what we can do to help them, give them any assurances that we can. And I'm not going to rehash prior letters that I produced by speaking them to you tonight, but I did bring a public letter statement that I put on the St. Joseph City website and our Facebook about our position of ICE. If anybody wants to take a copy to go home, I printed half a dozen. You can take a picture with your cell phone or just keep a physical copy. So we as a city do have a position on ICE and working with our citizens and the PD. And going backwards, I did write a letter to the editor in the St. Joseph News Leader about a community center in very vivid detail, the exact financial numbers, a timeline over the last year and a half, 2 years. I printed half a dozen of these as well. So if you want a more detailed outline of what occurred with our community center and how sadly we're not doing it anymore, I have that here as well. And with that, that is the end of my State of the City address. So this is a forum open to you now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. They don't have to be what I just covered. It can be literally any question you have regarding the city whatsoever, whether it's staff, issues, things that are on this PowerPoint, things that we're not. I'm doing 4 of these total currently, this being the first one, so thank you all for coming. But this time is open for you now, if anybody has any questions. Thank you. My son wants to know when his bedtime is. If anybody doesn't have any questions, you're welcome to take any of these community center letters, the position on ICE, and I also have a business card or just contact information for me. If you ever want to call me, I have my personal cell phone on it and an email, whether you have questions now or in the future. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Very good, excellent. I just told me why.
Well done. Thank you.
What does it take to get